Have you ever wondered why some women seem to walk through fire and yet are never consumed? Why certain women carry wounds no eye can see, yet rise with a strength that terrifies both men and demons alike? Listen closely. These are not ordinary women. They are marked, not with crowns of gold or robes of beauty, but with scars that heaven itself carved into their lives, marks hidden from the world but recognized by the Spirit. The question is not whether they exist, but whether you are one of them. For throughout history, chosen women have always carried 7 mysterious signs, 7 fingerprints of the divine, stamped into their souls, woven into their stories, etched into their destiny. They are attacked without reason, misunderstood without cause, isolated without explanation. And still they rise. This is not just a video, this is a revelation. And if you dare to watch until the end, you may discover that the marks of heaven are carved into you. Now let us begin with the first hidden mark, the scar that became a sword. Chapter 1, The Scar Becomes a Sword. Every chosen woman's story begins the same way, not with a crown, but with a wound. The mark of heaven does not arrive dressed in silk or jewels. It arrives in pain, rejection, betrayal. And here lies the first hidden sign of the chosen, the scar that becomes a sword. Think of Hannah, a woman whose womb was closed, who was mocked by her rival and left drowning in shame. To those who saw her, she was broken, useless, forgotten. But in the temple, through bitter tears, she made a vow. And out of that agony came Samuel, a prophet who would anoint kings. Do you see the pattern? The place of her greatest humiliation became the womb of destiny. Her scar became a sword that cut through generations of silence. Or take Joseph, though not a woman, his story mirrors the same divine logic. Thrown into a pit by his own brothers, sold like an object, imprisoned for a crime he did not commit. Every scar seemed like the handwriting of failure, and yet the very rejection he endured placed him in Egypt, the only place where he could rise to power and save not just a nation but the entire family who betrayed him. The scar was not wasted. The pit was not wasted. Heaven turned his wound into a weapon. When you are chosen, your wounds are not simply evidence of suffering. They are blueprints of power. Hell wants to convince you that the scar is proof you are cursed. But heaven whispers, this scar is proof you are marked. The greater the scar, the sharper the sword it becomes in your hand. Look closely at the lives of chosen women across history. Behind every hymn of triumph lies a chapter of tears. Behind every public victory lies a private rejection. Some were abandoned by families, some betrayed by friends, some silenced by their own communities. Yet instead of being destroyed, they became dangerous to darkness. Because rejection in the kingdom of God is never the end. It is the beginning of transformation. This is the twist the enemy never anticipates. Rejection is not a grave, it is a forge. Fire does not destroy the sword, it refines it. The scar does not weaken you, it sharpens you. The very thing the world uses to humiliate you becomes the weapon heaven uses to elevate you. A woman who has walked through betrayal carries a sword of discernment. She can sense lies faster than most. A woman who has suffered loss carries a sword of compassion. She can heal others with words that cost her everything. A woman who has been silenced carries a sword of fire. When she finally speaks, her words shake the atmosphere. Your scar is not a shame. It is an ordination. Hell fears women who have turned scars into swords because no weapon of guilt, shame, or despair can bind them anymore. They know the truth. Pain is fuel, rejection is oil, tears are steel. And the darker the wound, the brighter the blade forged in its fire. What scar in your life have you tried to hide? What wound still bleeds when no one is watching? Could it be that this is not your weakness, but your weapon? Could it be that this wound is the exact place where heaven is shaping your destiny? Do not despise your scars. They are not signs of defeat. They are signs that you survived. They are testimonies etched into flesh, declarations that hell did not win. Every scar is a doorway to a sword. And this is only the first mark. If scars can be swords, what happens when heaven touches the restless ache inside a woman's soul? What if dissatisfaction itself is not disorder, but a holy summons? The second mark is stranger still, a divine discontent that no palace, no success, no crown can ever satisfy. Chapter 2. Divine Discontent. If the scar marks the beginning of the chosen woman's transformation, the second mark is even more unsettling: divine discontent. It is the restlessness that no crown can quiet, the ache no comfort can heal, the whisper that nothing in this world is ever enough. Look at Esther. From the outside, she had everything a woman in her time could desire. She was chosen as queen, living in the grandeur of Persia's palace, clothed in silk, surrounded by luxury, attended by servants. By every measure of success, she should have been satisfied. Yet beneath the gold and perfumes, she felt a tension. Her people were under threat, and she could not silence the cry within her. While others in the palace feasted, Esther fasted. While others celebrated, she mourned. This discontent was not madness, not ingratitude, but the voice of heaven pulling her toward destiny. History shows us the same truth again and again. Chosen women are often haunted by an emptiness that nothing in this world can fill. They may marry well, achieve success, raise families, or lead communities. Yet in the quiet of the night, when the applause fades, they sense something deeper calling them. It is not depression. It is not vanity. It is divine. When God has marked a woman, even blessings cannot satisfy her. She tastes honor but longs for holiness. She receives recognition but craves revelation. She can sit on a throne, yet her heart trembles for an altar. The chosen are never fully at home in the palaces of men because they were born for the purposes of God. Hannah again. After Samuel was born, she did not cling to him possessively. Instead, she surrendered him to the temple to serve the Lord all his days. Why? Because her longing was never simply for a child, it was for the fulfillment of God's plan. The discontent in her soul drove her to a vow that reshaped the destiny of Israel. Without that inner unrest, she might have lived an ordinary life. With it, she became a mother of prophets. Divine discontent is dangerous, for it breaks the illusion of comfort. The world wants chosen women to be quiet, content, and contained. Be satisfied, it whispers. You have enough. But heaven whispers louder. There is more. This restlessness is the hand of God refusing to let you settle for less than destiny. What others may diagnose as dissatisfaction, instability, or even rebellion is, in fact, a holy summons. It is the groaning of eternity inside a fragile frame. Paul himself said, "We groan inwardly as we await our adoption." The chosen woman carries this same groaning, even when she does not understand it. A bird meant to soar can never feel satisfied in a cage, no matter how golden its bars. Likewise, a chosen woman cannot feel at home in a life of mere comfort or conformity. She is built for more, and her soul knows it. Divine discontent must be discerned, or it can turn bitter. When misunderstood, it looks like chronic dissatisfaction, the endless pursuit of new things, the gnawing fear of missing out. But when understood as the mark of heaven, it becomes fuel, driving her toward prayer, fasting, courage, and calling. The same unrest that torments her becomes the compass that guides her. Esther's discontent forced her to risk her life before the king. She entered the throne room trembling, but her unrest gave her the courage to say, "If I perish, I perish." That is what divine discontent produces, the willingness to trade safety for destiny. Have you ever felt it? The strange dissatisfaction even when life appears good? Have you wondered why joy slips through your fingers even in moments of success? Perhaps it is not because you are broken, but because you are chosen. This is the hidden second mark, to carry a hunger that no palace can satisfy. to live in a tension that no crown can silence, to feel the pull of eternity even when surrounded by temporary pleasures. Do not despise this discontent. It is not a curse. It is a compass, and if you follow where it leads, you will find the doorway into destiny. But there is yet another mark, darker and more dangerous, a weight chosen women carry that others cannot bear. It is the burden of feeling pain more deeply than the rest of the world. Chapter 3. Sensitivity to injustice and pain. The scars reveal strength. The divine discontent reveals destiny. But the third mark is perhaps the hardest to carry, an unusual sensitivity to injustice and pain. Chosen women do not simply walk through their own struggles. They feel the struggles of others as if they were carved into their own skin. Where others shrug, they bleed. Where others look away, they stare into the wound of the world and cannot forget it. This is not sentimentality. It is not fragility. It is a sacred trust, a holy burden. Consider the moment when Jesus himself stood at the tomb of Lazarus. He knew that resurrection was minutes away. He knew death was about to lose its grip, and yet, he wept. Why? Because chosen hearts feel before they fix. He carried the weight of Mary's tears, the sting of Martha's grief, the ache of a community crushed by loss. His tears were not weakness. They were divine empathy, the currency that heaven accepts before miracles are released. So it is with chosen women. They often cry over matters that others ignore. They sense injustice before it becomes visible. Their hearts break over oppression, betrayal, cruelty, and silence. They carry burdens that do not belong to them, and the world tells them, "You're too emotional, too dramatic, too weak." But in reality, heaven has entrusted them with a capacity most cannot bear. Their tears are not wasted, they are intercessions in liquid form. Look at the prophets of old. Jeremiah was called the weeping prophet, mocked for his tears and lamentations. But his cries were the prayers of a nation, birthing the warnings and promises of God. Deborah too felt the cries of her people under oppression before she rose to lead them. Her sensitivity to injustice gave her the fire to summon armies. Sensitivity is not softness. It is a sword of the Spirit, forged in compassion. What the world despises as weakness, God esteems as authority. Heaven does not measure strength by how much pain you can ignore, but by how much pain you are willing to carry for others. Tears become testimony. Groaning becomes intercession. Sensitivity becomes strategy in the courts of heaven. Every chosen woman who feels too much must understand this. Your tears are currency. When you cry for your children, for your family, for the oppressed, those tears are not forgotten. David declared, "You keep track of all my sorrows. You have collected all my tears in your bottle." Heaven remembers, heaven records, heaven responds. But sensitivity is costly. It isolates. Because while others move on easily, the chosen woman lingers in the place of grief. While others laugh, she senses the pain underneath their smiles. While others dismiss, she discerns. This weight can feel unbearable, but it is in this very tension that her calling is revealed. She has been chosen to stand in the gap, to pray when no one else will, to fight battles invisible to those around her. Think of mothers who rise in the night to pray for children far away, sensing danger before it arrives. Think of women who cannot pass by the wounded or the voiceless without stepping in. Their hearts beat in rhythm with the cries of heaven. They are midwives of mercy, carriers of burdens, intercessors clothed in tears. And so the lesson is clear. Sensitivity is not weakness, it is a divine assignment, it is proof of trust. God gives the heaviest burdens to the shoulders he knows will carry them. Hell fears a sensitive woman because her tears shake thrones. Her compassion becomes warfare, her pain becomes prophecy. Have you ever been told you feel too much? Have you been criticized for caring too deeply, for crying too easily? Perhaps the world misjudged you, but heaven has identified you. You were not created to be numb. You were created to be a vessel of holy compassion. This is the third hidden mark, The chosen bleed for others. They cry where others are silent. They carry pain not as a chain, but as a crown. Their tears are not weakness. They are weapons. And if this sensitivity is a weapon, the next mark will explain why chosen women so often find themselves in the line of fire. For to carry heaven's burden is to attract hell's attack. Chapter 4. Attracts unprovoked attacks. If scars become swords, and divine discontent drives a woman toward her destiny, and if her tears are weapons in the courts of heaven, then the fourth hidden mark is both the most painful and the most unmistakable. Chosen women attract unprovoked attacks. When you are marked by heaven, you do not step into a playground. You step onto a battlefield. You can be quiet, humble, unseen, even unwilling, yet the enemy sees you. Darkness recognizes the mark of light before you even understand it yourself. Think of Mary. She was a young girl in Nazareth, living an ordinary life, unnoticed by the world. But the moment she said yes to bearing the Christ, her name was written on hell's hit list. Her obedience unleashed both the greatest hope and the greatest hostility. King Herod sought to slaughter infants because of the child she carried. She had done no harm, she had committed no crime, yet she became the center of a storm of violence. Why? Because carrying divine purpose makes you a target. The chosen are often attacked not because of what they have done, but because of what they carry. Attacks come unprovoked, unfair, unexpected. People may despise you without reason. Doors may slam without explanation. Betrayal may strike without warning. It is not always personal. It is spiritual. The enemy senses the oil before it is poured. Look across scripture and history, and you will find the same pattern. Moses was hunted as an infant before he could utter a word. David was pursued by Saul long before he wore a crown. Jesus himself was rejected in his own hometown before he performed his first miracle there. The attack often arrives before the assignment is revealed because opposition is the evidence of ordination. Attacks are not proof of abandonment, they are proof of anointing. Hell does not waste its weapons on those who pose no threat. If you are facing hostility that makes no sense, you may be more dangerous to the darkness than you realize. Every arrow fired at you is a confirmation. Heaven has placed something inside you worth destroying. The very attacks meant to destroy chosen women become the fire that strengthens them. The pressure sharpens their discernment. The betrayal trains their resilience. The rejection forces them into the arms of God. What the enemy intends for harm, heaven transforms into preparation. The battle becomes the classroom. The battlefield becomes the altar. And yet, let us not romanticize it. These attacks are real. They wound deeply. They isolate. They create sleepless nights, broken trust, shattered illusions. But here is the mystery. Chosen women emerge not weaker, but stronger. Because every battle secretly functions as an ordination service. The battlefield is the place of crowning. When David faced Goliath, it was not simply a victory over a giant. It was the unveiling of a king. When Mary fled into Egypt with her infant son, it was not just survival, it was prophecy in motion, fulfilling the words spoken centuries before. Every attack was secretly advancing the very destiny it tried to destroy. Look back on your life. Can you see the battles that erupted without reason, the friendships that turned to betrayal, the doors that slammed shut, the accusations that appeared from nowhere? Could it be that these were not accidents but confirmations? Could it be that the warfare around you is the surest sign that you are carrying something the world cannot yet see? This is the fourth mark. Chosen women attract attacks they did not provoke, because the call on their life provokes hell itself. The battle is not proof of failure, it is proof of favor. The wounds are not curses, they are crowns in disguise. And if the attacks are fierce, the next mark explains why they cut so deeply. Because chosen women are not only attacked, they are often misunderstood, even by the very people they love the most. Chapter 5. Misunderstood and isolated. If battlefields crown the chosen, then isolation refines them. The fifth hidden mark is perhaps the loneliest. Chosen women are often misunderstood and isolated. It is not because they seek pride, arrogance, or superiority. Yet somehow people attach these labels to them. Too intense, too judgmental, too different. Their silence is mistaken for disdain. Their hunger for God is seen as fanaticism. Their uniqueness is interpreted as rebellion, and so they are pushed to the margins. But what if the margins are the very place God does his deepest work? Think of Hagar, cast into the wilderness, alone with her child, carrying the sting of rejection. To Sarah, she was a mistake. To Abraham, a complication. But to God, she was seen. In her isolation, she encountered the living one who sees. Her desert became a meeting place with the divine. What looked like abandonment was actually preparation for legacy. Ishmael would become a great nation. Moses. He was raised in Pharaoh's palace, trained in wisdom and warfare, yet driven into exile after one rash act of justice. For 40 years he wandered in Midian, nameless, faceless, forgotten. To Egypt, he was a fugitive. To Israel, irrelevant. But in the obscurity of exile, God was forging a deliverer. The burning bush did not appear in Pharaoh's court. It blazed in the loneliness of the wilderness. His isolation was not rejection, it was consecration. And David, the shepherd boy. When Samuel came to anoint a king, David's own father did not even call him into the room. To Jesse, he was too insignificant. To his brothers, he was merely a boy with a harp and a sling, left in the fields, forgotten, isolated. Yet in those lonely fields, David learned to sing songs that moved heaven, to wield a sling that would one day bring down giants. His isolation was not absence, it was training. Isolation is not the enemy of destiny, it is the incubator of destiny. The chosen are set apart, not cast away. Heaven hides them so that when the time comes, they emerge not fragile but forged, not empty but overflowing. But isolation is painful. It pierces deeper than physical attacks. To be misunderstood by enemies is expected. To be misunderstood by family, friends, even fellow believers is crushing. Yet it is in that very crushing that God presses oil. The olive must be isolated and crushed to release the anointing. The chosen woman's loneliness becomes the womb of her authority. History confirms this. Joan of Arc was ridiculed as delusional before she led armies. Sojourner Truth was dismissed as a madwoman before her words ignited movements. Time and again, chosen women bear the weight of misunderstanding, but their solitude becomes a sanctuary where they hear the voice of God more clearly than the applause of men. Have you felt it? The sting of being misread, mislabeled, misunderstood. Have you walked through seasons where no one seemed to get you, not even those closest to you? Could it be that this is not punishment, but preparation? That heaven is drawing you away from the noise so you can learn the sound of his whisper? Isolation is not rejection, it is preparation. The cave trains prophets, the wilderness forms leaders. The hidden place is where heaven sharpens swords too dangerous to be displayed prematurely. So, do not despise your lonely seasons. They are not wasted, they are holy ground. Your isolation is not proof that you are abandoned. It is evidence that you are being prepared. And once this preparation is complete, another mystery unfolds. Because when a chosen woman has been hidden, crushed, and refined in the shadows, she learns to grow where no one is watching. This leads us to the sixth mark, the growth that happens not in the spotlight, but in the dark. Chapter 6, Growth in the Dark. Isolation is the womb of preparation, but what happens inside that womb is even more mysterious. The sixth hidden mark of the chosen woman is this: she grows in the dark. When no one applauds, she matures. When no one sees, she strengthens. When the world thinks she is buried, heaven knows she is planted. Her hidden seasons are not wasted years. They are the years where roots go deep, where foundations are laid, where destiny is shaped in silence. Ruth. She did not begin her story in a palace or with fame. She began as a widow, gleaning in the fields, bent low in anonymity. Day after day, she gathered scraps of barley, unnoticed by most. Yet it was in that hidden labor that Boaz saw her faithfulness. It was in the obscurity of the fields that her future as the ancestor of kings was forged. Ruth's greatness did not emerge in the spotlight. It germinated in the shadows of humility. Joseph, too, knew the darkness well. Betrayed by his brothers, sold into slavery, and thrown into prison, he spent years in obscurity. Forgotten by men, overlooked by those he helped, his voice silenced behind prison walls. But in the dark, Joseph's gifts sharpened. He learned to interpret dreams. He learned to lead prisoners. He learned faithfulness without recognition. And when the doors finally opened, he was not a bitter man. He was a prepared ruler. His growth in the shadows was the very reason he could carry the weight of Egypt's throne. And Moses, raised in Pharaoh's palace but exiled into the desert. For 40 years he tended sheep in solitude. No titles, no applause, no miracles, just silence, dust, and the discipline of patience. Yet it was in that hiddenness that God stripped away Egypt's identity and planted in him the heart of a shepherd. The man who would lead Israel through the wilderness first had to learn to lead sheep in the wilderness. His growth in obscurity made him fit for visibility. What feels like burial is actually planting. The soil looks the same whether it hides a corpse or a seed. To the untrained eye, the chosen woman in obscurity looks finished, forgotten, buried. But heaven knows she is germinating. She is not dead. She is becoming. This is the danger of misinterpreting hidden seasons. If you believe you are buried, despair takes root. But if you understand you are planted, hope explodes. Buried things decay. Planted things multiply. The darkness is not your grave. It is your greenhouse. But growth in the dark is not glamorous. There are no audiences, no applause, no validation. The hidden years can feel like abandonment, yet they are necessary. Because if your roots are shallow, your fruit will not last. If your character is weak, your calling will crush you. Heaven loves you too much to reveal you before you are ready, so it hides you. The Messiah himself. 30 years in obscurity, 3 years in ministry, decades of silence, carpentry, waiting, before the heavens tore open at his baptism. Growth in the dark is the rhythm of heaven. It is how greatness is forged. Are you in a season where no one seems to notice you? Where your efforts feel invisible, your prayers unanswered, your calling unseen? Could it be that you are not forgotten, but planted? That heaven has placed you underground to protect you while you take root? This is the 6th hidden mark. Chosen women grow when no one is watching. They bloom without applause. They flourish in silence. Because when the time comes for their unveiling, they are not shallow. They are unshakable. And once a woman has learned to sing in silence, to grow in obscurity, she carries a weapon even more dangerous. For when she steps into deserts and dry places, she brings with her a joy that cannot be extinguished. Chapter 7. Unshakable joy in dry places. If growth in the dark forms deep roots, then the fruit that springs forth is even more astonishing. Unshakable joy in dry places. This 7th hidden mark may be the most dangerous weapon of all because it makes the chosen woman undefeatable. Joy in abundance is ordinary. Anyone can smile when life is easy, when tables are full, when the road is clear. But chosen women are marked by a defiance that shocks both men and demons. They sing in prisons, they worship in deserts, they dance while surrounded by ashes. Their joy is not denial of reality, it is rebellion against despair. Habakkuk, who lived through the collapse of his nation. Crops failed, fields were barren, fig trees bore no fruit, herds vanished from the stalls. Yet he declared, "Though the fig tree does not bud, yet I will rejoice in the Lord, I will be joyful in God my Savior." This was no shallow optimism. It was a holy defiance, a refusal to let external barrenness dictate internal abundance. His joy was a protest against hopelessness, a weapon forged in faith. And look at Paul and Silas. Beaten, chained, and thrown into a Philippian prison, their bodies broken, their futures uncertain. But at midnight they prayed and sang hymns. Their voices echoed against the stone walls, defying the darkness. Then came the earthquake, the chains falling, the prison doors flying open. Heaven moved not because they complained, but because they sang. Their joy was a key that unlocked deliverance. Joy is not weakness, it is warfare. Depression is the language of hell. Joy is the anthem of heaven. When a chosen woman lifts her voice in praise while walking through deserts and dungeons, she releases a sound that confuses the enemy. The devil expects despair. He anticipates surrender. But when he hears singing, he knows he is lost. This is why joy is feared in the spirit realm. It cannot be manufactured. It cannot be faked. It is not the result of denial, but of revelation. Chosen women carry an unshakable joy because they know something deeper than circumstance. They know who holds them. Their wells do not run dry because their source is eternal. But let us not mistake this joy for naivety. Chosen women know sorrow well. They have buried dreams, wept over losses, endured betrayals. Yet in the ashes, they lift their hands. In the drought, they raise their voices. Their joy is not the absence of pain. It is the presence of God in the midst of pain. A barren desert, silent, lifeless, cracked earth stretching endlessly. And there, a woman lifts her head and begins to sing. Her song turns the desert into a sanctuary. Her joy turns the wilderness into holy ground. She becomes a walking prophecy that even in famine, the river of God still flows. This is the seventh mark. Chosen women are armed with joy that does not bow to drought, that does not bend under pressure, that does not break in chains. Their joy is their warfare. Their joy is their crown. The most dangerous woman is not the one who has never suffered, but the one who has suffered and still sings. Hell cannot handle a joyful warrior, because joy, unshaken and unbroken, testifies that darkness has failed. But this revelation is not the end of the journey. It leads us to the final truth, the message for all who have followed this story to the end. For these 7 hidden marks are not curses to endure, they are signatures of heaven. And if you carry them, your life is not ordinary. As we step into the closing revelation, a message of hope and wisdom, especially for those who have walked many years and carry scars of their own. So we return to where our journey began. The 7 hidden marks are not curses to endure, but heavenly signatures written into the lives of chosen women. Scars that became swords, restlessness that pointed to destiny, tears that became weapons, battles that revealed calling, isolation that became training, darkness that produced roots, and joy that defied despair. Each of these marks tells you one truth. You are not buried, you are planted. You are not rejected, you are chosen. Life's storms did not erase your purpose, they refined it. The loneliness you felt, the attacks you endured, the tears you shed, all were shaping you for a season where your voice, your wisdom, your presence would matter more than ever. To my older sisters, mothers, and grandmothers watching, do not think your story is finished. The deepest roots bear fruit late in the season. You carry wisdom the next generation desperately needs. Your scars are not shame, they are instructions. Your survival is testimony. Your song in the night is prophecy. If you recognize these marks in your life, declare it boldly. Type in the comments, I carry the mark. I am a chosen woman. These are the women hell fears and heaven favors.